Hello, I want to welcome everyone. This is our, maybe 15th Zoom chat this summer. We've really enjoyed having them. Today, as you know, we have is a really important Zoom chat, I think. We have Dean Mazza with us, of course, and also my colleague, Brianna Hanshu. And we're going to cover a lot of different ground today, but try to hit some of those really big picture things going on as we get ready for the fall. So really glad that folks are joining us. I'm Stephen Friedman. I'm the Assistant Dean of Admissions, and welcome. So I'm going to turn it over to Dean Mazza. What we're going to do is we'll do some Q&A. I'll ask him a few questions or let him speak a bit, but we want you to ask questions. We don't know everything that's on your mind. But we want to address your concerns. So please feel free. You can post them on the chat function, or you can ask the question just by taking off your mute button. So Dean Mazza, let's start with you. Do you want to talk about our plans for the fall and COVID-19 as it relates to COVID-19?
Sure, happy to do so. So good afternoon, everybody. I hope you're doing well. First of all, thanks to everyone who completed the survey that Dean Friedman and Brianna sent out earlier. We appreciate that information. That's informing some of our plans. This past week, the university released some guidelines and policies about health and safety measures on campus in the fall, which is great. We're really lucky to have a chancellor who also happens to be a physician and a medical researcher. So we do have a bit more certainty about the academic calendar and about class configurations, and I'll talk with you about that here in just a moment. But I do need to go ahead and tell you that everything is still fluid at this point. I know that is frustrating. Our plans, our lifestyles are being dictated by forces that are largely beyond our individual control. But let me update you on the matters as they currently stand, and then give you a heads up about some items that I think will be of interest to you. So let's start with classes. As far as classes in the fall, we are still planning for in-person classes with the knowledge that if the virus spikes, we will need to move to a completely online format. The classes will be conducted in line with the university's recent Protect KU planning document. And Steve, I believe you have sent a link to the students that includes...
We did. Everyone should have received that yesterday. And also, I believe we sent the link last week. And that does provide the university's guidance and policies for the fall as it relates. So, yeah.
Yeah, so I would suggest that if you haven't already, go ahead and take a look at that. But let me just hit some highlights for you. The university is going to make an app on your phone available to you to help you monitor symptoms for the virus. So you will need to access this app each day and confirm that you are symptom-free before you enter the building. If you have symptoms, you are not to come on campus. Face masks will be required while you are in the building and while you're on campus if you're within 6 feet of another person. Unless you qualify for a medical accommodation, just want you to know up front, you will be required to wear a mask and we will provide one for you if you need it. Testing for the virus will be available through the local hospital here in Lawrence, as well as our campus health clinic, the Watkins Health Center. We will have hand sanitizing stations set up within the building, so you won't need to worry about bringing that. There will be huge vats, or at least is what we're told. There will be huge vats of hand sanitizer along with small bottles. So you just go up to the station, you fill up your bottle for the day. There will be wipes that you can use, so that will be provided. We are reconfiguring the building to ensure social distancing as best we can. At this point, they're not allowing food in the building, so we have closed off the kitchen area We've also stacked some furniture in the commons area. So gosh, things won't look quite as tidy as we would like for them to look, but the building will be set up for you to accommodate social distancing when you get here. We've also reconfigured all of our classroom spaces to ensure social distancing. And as a result of that, the capacity for our largest classroom is down to 33 students. Now, when I spoke with you the last time, the calculated capacity for that room was 44, but they've recalculated, and the maximum number we can get in would be 33 plus the instructor. Now, here's what that means. A couple of the 1L sections have been scheduled for the Burge Union, which is a building that is just across the street from the law school. They have rooms that have larger capacities than we have here in Green Hall. A couple of the 1L classes that will meet within Green Hall, because of the limited number of students that we can put in a single room, those classes are going to be carried out in what the university is calling a cohort format. So for example, we've got a large section of what we consider to be a large section of civil procedure, which has 44 students enrolled in it. That's a 4-credit class and it meets 4 times a week. The plan at the moment is that students who are put in that section of civil procedure, you will meet 3 days a week in person, and you will meet 1 day a week, or you will participate 1 day a week remotely. Now, the online or the remote component, at least for that class, will involve having you participate via Zoom. So for 1 day a week out of the 4 in this class, you will experience the class live, but remotely. And you'll be able to ask questions. The professor will be able to see you and will be able to ask you questions in real time. It's just that during that 1 day, during the week, you will be participating over Zoom rather than being in the room. Now, we're still in the process of finalizing both the schedule and the classroom formats. We do have some faculty who are up in age and have existing health conditions who may want to teach remotely. I'm not sure whether any of the professors teaching the 1L classes will take that option, but they do have to let us know very soon. If a student has a health or safety issue and doesn't want to participate in person, we will accommodate that student. We haven't quite finalized the standards that we will use to decide whether it's appropriate for that student to participate remotely, but as you might imagine, they will be based upon the health and safety concerns for the student, for that student and for that student's immediate family. Again, we'll try and we'll be flexible, but if all you have is a general preference for online learning rather than in person, and it's not based upon a health or safety concern, then we may not allow that. Some law schools have already announced they're going to go entirely online in the fall. That is not our plan, but the faculty have been and will be preparing to move online in case an outbreak occurs in the middle of the fall semester. In fact, I was just reading the student evaluations from the spring when we had to very quickly move to an online format. And the students were very complimentary of the faculty. About half of our faculty who went online did so in a synchronous manner. So it was basically live Zoom. About another half did an asynchronous format where the professor taped lectures, posted them, and then the students were free to view those lectures by a particular date. And then the professor would provide supplemental materials as well as opportunities for the students to ask questions in a live format. So Steve, I've been talking a lot. I feel like I need to stop and look and see if there are any questions, or what else do you think I should be talking about?
Well, I think there are some questions on here. I think, I think the one from Mikhail might be a good segue. Will we be allowed to use Green Hall outside of our scheduled class times, specifically common areas and library for studying?
Yeah, so again, thanks to you all for filling out those surveys. A good number of folks who completed the survey expressed a preference for being able to utilize the building in between classes and outside of class in order to study. So, you know, our plan is that we will have the building open. But because of social distancing, the space that we have available for people to study and prepare outside of class will be more limited than it has been in the past. Not sure how many of you have toured Green Hall, but within the library, we have a good number of what we call study carrels. These are individual study spaces where you can store your books and have a quiet place to sit and prepare for class. Because of social distancing, we're going to have to pull out one study carrel between every other one and leave that one, you know, unused in order to create a barrier between one study carrel and the other. So that's going to reduce the number that are available. Our plan at the moment, and we've also had to reduce the number of seats at each table within the library in order to accommodate social distancing. So we have always had an applications process for people who want a study carrel. You do have to sign up in advance. Now, when I say in advance, don't start to worry. In advance means once you get to Green Hall during orientation. This year, the applications process is likely to be a little more formalized than it has been in the past. So we may ask questions about, you know, are you a commuter coming in from Kansas City or Topeka? And do you have special reasons why you want to remain in Green Hall between classes? So you will be given an opportunity to complete that. You know, and what we may end up deciding is we will assign 2 people to each carrel, but you will be assigned to either, you know, half the day, morning through mid-afternoon, or the second half of the day, which would start mid-afternoon into the evening. And then it would be the responsibility of the folks who have the carrel to make sure that they sanitize it after they leave, and we will provide all of those supplies. So those are sort of the accommodations that we're thinking about, but the short answer is yes. The building will be available for you to study in between classes. You know, I think this is going to be one of those things where after a couple of weeks of people coming back, we'll have a better sense of what people's needs are. And I think you might even have a better sense of, once you get here and figure out what your day looks like, you'll have a better sense of, you know, do I want to be there in the morning? Do I want to be there in the afternoon? Do I want to be there at all in between classes? So even if, let's say, 3 weeks into the semester, we kind of have to jiggle the arrangements a little bit to accommodate even more people. Just hope you'll be flexible and work with us on that.
Great. We're getting some great questions here, and I definitely want to address them. But we also want to get through some pretty important big picture items. So let's talk about another big picture item, the calendar.
Okay.
Could you talk about, I think it's clear that there will be no live classes after Thanksgiving. Is that correct?
That is correct. Yeah, so I think you got an email recently. I don't think that I have access to all of your emails at this point, since we haven't loaded you into the formal registration system yet. But I think Steve Friedman forwarded to you last week an email that I sent out shortly after the university sent out an email about the calendar. There are going to be a few little tweaks for the law school as compared with the rest of the university. Your orientation still begins on Thursday, August the 20th. That is not changing, and we don't anticipate that will change. There will be no Labor Day holiday. There will be no fall break. So classes will meet on Monday, Labor Day, will meet during the middle of October when we would otherwise take a couple of days off. And all of our classes will conclude on the Tuesday before Thanksgiving, which happens to be November the 24th. Most exams will take place after Thanksgiving. And in fact, you'll get a week after classes conclude before we even start the exam period, and your exam period will run for 2 weeks. We have had several faculty who have expressed concerns about giving exams remotely, which is sort of the whole idea behind concluding exams before Thanksgiving. And then if you want to head home for Thanksgiving by not having classes afterwards, that means you would not have to make an effort to come back. So we're working with those few faculty who have those concerns to try to give them a level of assurance. But most faculty are comfortable giving online exams, which is what we did in the spring, and certainly what I plan to do this fall. So those are the broad outlines. Your orientation will begin on August the 20th. No Labor Day holiday, no fall break. Classes will end on the 24th, and your exams will take place after that. Now, as far as the winter break, we are still uncertain how long your winter break will last. The university has announced that classes won't begin in the spring until sometime around the first week of February. We are so caught up in planning for the fall, we haven't really turned our attention to the spring quite yet. But my instinct is that schedule is not going to work for us, because we do have a 2-week exam period, whereas everyone else only has a 1 week. So it very well could be that we're going to ask you to come back a week before the rest of the university. Now, you'll still be getting a really long winter break. It's just that instead of it being something like 5 weeks, it'll be 4 weeks long. But we will confirm with you what those starting dates will be. Historically, we've always started the day after the Martin Luther King Day. My guess is that will be the day that we will start in the spring, but I haven't looked at the calendar, so don't hold me to that. But I think there is a general expectation that we'll probably start a little earlier in the spring compared with everybody else.
Great. Speaking of orientation, we have it pretty close to finalized, thanks to Brianna. Brianna has been in charge of fall orientation planning. We will provide a lot of detailed information as we get closer to orientation, but I would like to ask Brianna to give us a sneak peek into the orientation planning, and what to expect. And so, Brianna, please go ahead.
Yeah, so due to social distancing and the classroom limitations because of social distancing, what we are going to do as of now, obviously subject to change if any new guidelines come out, but is split the 1L class into 4 groups. You will have a component of your orientation days be in person for about half a day. And because of splitting into 4 groups, we will have to rotate your morning or your afternoon. So some days will be in the morning where you're in person, and some will be in the afternoon. And you will know in advance so you can plan for that. Then there's going to be some work that you're going to have to do at home. And part of that is for lawyering, which is a huge part of orientation. But part of that is also there are a lot of informational things that we normally tell you in person, some resources that we have for lost students and things like that, where we are going to ask those organizations to prepare a video and then put those videos on blackboards so we can have them available to you and you can watch them. What we've really tried to do is limit orientation on the time to during the day, because we know a lot of you have families, but again, some of that might be subject to change, but the schedule looks a little bit around 8 to like 5:30, but again, only half of that day will be in person. Some things will be done via Zoom at the same time, synchronously, and then the rest of them will be things that you do on your own.
Yeah,
So.
basically what Bree has done is, to make sure we can get everybody the information, we'll teach half of you in the morning, half of you in the afternoon, and then at the same time, half of you will be doing online stuff, either in the morning or afternoon. One thing we're going to give you an early heads up on, we are splitting the orientation, as Bree mentioned, into 4 groups. These will not be the same thing as your small sections, which will start a few days later once regular classes start. So we will have 5 sections. So your section mates will not be the same people as your group mates. We tried to get everything 5 and 5 and do it that way, but just with the spacing and the issues, it just wasn't going to work. So we had to do 4 groups. It's going to be great. This means you're going to get to meet more people than just your small section, which sometimes people feel a little closed in the fall because they basically hang out just with their small section and no one else. But just to give you a heads up so you don't get confused, because I'd be very confused. So we'll do that.
So Steve,
go ahead.
I took a look at some of the questions. So if you like, I can go ahead and respond to some of those.
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay, so someone asked a question about books and purchasing books. So, normally this would be around the time during the summer when we would send you your class schedule. This year, all registration is being done centrally through the university. So normally, we would do all of this in-house and we would have it done by now and we would have that information out to you. Because it's being done centrally, they have not completed that process. And in fact, we're not sure when they're going to be done with that process. My hope is that, by the beginning of August, we will know which classes you have been assigned to, what times of the days, who your professors are, and only at that point would you be able to figure out what books that you need. So we will get information out to you in plenty of time. Somebody's calling, ignore. We will get that information out to you. And in fact, what we're talking about is if you would like to go ahead and purchase all of your books through the bookstore, we will arrange to have that available for you when you need them, so that you don't have to go over to the bookstore and pick them out yourself. We'll just look at your schedule and we can get the books for you. Now, if you want a used copy, that's going to complicate things, but we'll try to be as accommodating as we possibly can. But we're, like I say, we're still not sure when those schedules are going to be available. Steve, and Bree, I got an email from an upper level student yesterday who checked her course schedule, and the university must still be in the process because all the classes that she had signed up for conflicted and they were in the wrong rooms. And so.
Well, you shouldn't have to worry about that. We're going to take care of all that for you. I should note there is one book and we'll post that soon. Your lawyering book, we can definitely make that title available and you can purchase that. The other books, you'll have to wait a few more weeks, but it shouldn't be a problem. especially today with now that, I mean, in the last 15 years when you've been able to purchase things online, someone somewhere in this country will have it for quick delivery. So we don't anticipate any problems with students getting their books.
And I tell the story about the upper level student only to bring home the point that we're just going to have to be patient. The university is an unprecedented time. They have never done the central registration for everybody, and they're running into some kinks, and we'll give them the necessary time to work them out. It'll okay. So what if a student misses class because they have health issues? Can they get a recording of the class? The answer is yes. We're going to ask all of our faculty to record all of their classes because our sense is that there is probably going to be someone participating remotely in virtually every class. So, there will be a Zoom recording of every class. So that will be recorded and could be made available to people who were unable to attend.
And I should note, Dean Mazza, is the same thing goes for orientation. So we're going to ask for things to be recorded during that time too.
Right.
So, yes.
Sounds good. Someone asked questions about student organization. So this is something that our Associate Dean for Student Affairs, Leah Terranova, and Bree, for that matter, are working on diligently, is how do we create and maintain the sense of community that we have in Green Hall? How are we going to create and maintain that at a time in which we are socially distancing? So we're going to have more events outside rather than inside, and some more events are going to be online, but we will have a robust set of opportunities for you so you can meet all of the student leaders, learn about all the student organizations, and get involved. That's really, I think, what we risk losing most in this time is losing the sense of community that we have. So we want to make sure that we're doing everything we possibly can to make sure that we counteract that. I had a question about course fees and what happens, if we do end up having to go entirely online, will course fees be refunded? That is an issue that the university is looking at, and they just haven't made a call on that one yet. So, but there is a lot of pressure for them to make a statement about that. Now, those were the only questions I was able to access. What questions am I missing? Steve, you answered about the student health insurance.
Student health insurance, yeah. And as I posted today, most students, not all, but most students, if you're 26 or under, you should be covered by your parents. If you're not 26 or under, you can't get that coverage for some reason. Definitely encourage you to look at Obamacare or the Affordable Health Care Act, and you may qualify for subsidies. And then if that's not your best choice, there is a health insurance offered by the Board of Regents for students at KU. And as you might see, I put the link on the chat box. So hopefully everyone will get covered. It's not mandatory to have health insurance to attend KU Law, but of course, we want everyone to have health insurance. And hope you'll take advantage of those resources. Another topic I wanted to have Bree talk about is we're really excited. There's been a lot of buzz this summer about the Harvard pre-law program. And Bree, if I'm correct, are we going to participate in that program?
We are working out some kinks with making sure that, but our plan is that we're working with Harvard on it. So. Okay,
so maybe it's a little less definite than I had thought. Just to let you know, the Harvard program is going to be an excellent program, I think. But it really just covers the material that we do for our orientation. Orientation, we actually call it the Entering Student Program, and another name for it is Lawyering Boot Camp. And if you were on the talk with us before, I think with Professor Keller or Professor Six, or maybe both, really went into a lot of detail about how Lawyering Boot Camp, which is how you're going to start KU Law, really covers a lot of that, how to make it through law school material, how to read cases, how to develop outlines, how to prepare for exams. So a lot of that material covered in the Harvard program will be covered there. So you don't need it, but if we are able to do that program, it will be free, and it can only be a benefit, I would say.
It shouldn't surprise anyone, since you're going into this field, that when you put two law schools in the same room, there are going to be disagreements about a contract. So things like which state's law will govern any disputes, Kansas or Massachusetts. We're currently negotiating that. So we'll see what happens. Frankly, we reviewed the program and we think it's good. But it's not, I will go so far as to say it's not necessary, because we will be covering this material in our orientation. If you decide, if it becomes available and you decide that you want to do it, I don't think it will cause any confusion. There might be a slightly different terminology used. So I don't think it could hurt. I'm not sure it's going to be a great benefit if you decide that you want to watch it. You're not missing out on anything that anybody else is going to get. What other questions do you have?
I know we can't run out of questions. When you get to your classes, you're going to really want to take advantage of the opportunity to ask your professors questions. So this could be good training for you to start feeling comfortable asking questions at law school.
I guess I can, while people are thinking, because no one's told me no yet, so Dean Mazza, tell me now if it was a no, but something fun to get you in the KU spirit for your orientation groups. You will be given a name of a famous KU basketball player. So that's something fun to get you in the spirit of things. No one's told me no, so now they know.
You might be able to tell your grandchildren that you are part of the Danny Manning Law Group at KU Law, or Mario Chalmers.
Will not confirm what the names are at this point, but yes.
Okay.
Sections will be known as section 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, I think. So, but,
Yeah, that sounds fine. From Alabama,
Yeah, sorry.
football, but basketball's good.
Well, we really enjoy hearing from you all. We hope we addressed a lot of your questions, although here is a question that I can certainly address from Jaden. How large is the 2023 class? This class is really exciting. Right now, we're at 102. I think we'll be between 100 and 105, which is right on target when we get to August 20th, which is fantastic. The class looks strong. We've got good, I'm an admissions guy, so I like to focus on those LSAT and GPA numbers. They both look really good. They're going to be on par with last year. One really exciting, characteristics of this incoming class is this looks to be our most diverse class in KU Law history. Right now, about 29% of the incoming class comes from a diverse background, and that is something that we've worked hard at for a long time. And some years we don't have that level that we look for, and this year we're just excited that we have been able to attract students from so many diverse backgrounds So we're really excited about that. We'll probably talk more about that once school starts, when the numbers become official, because we don't like to start bragging about stuff until it's official. But we are excited about that, and we're excited that we've gotten students from so many different places and backgrounds.
I can answer Kevin's question. Just appropriate clothes. So there is no like suit and tie requirement, but yeah, comfortable. I always recommend layers, just because we don't know if the building will be hot or cold that day. So if you have a short sleeve shirt, bring like a jacket or something like that, because I cannot tell you the temperature of the building.
Our building is typically freezing cold in the summer and really hot in the winter.
Correct.
Our
Layers.
system overcompensates.
My advice for dress code on that first day is what I think most students do: wear clothes like you are meeting your partner's parents for the first time. So you wouldn't wear, a suit and tie for that, but probably leave the sweatpants, which later in the semester, you're going to wear sweatpants. It's okay. But, that first day or two, it'll be the first time you're meeting your classmates, first time you're meeting your professors. It's a professional school. These are going to be colleagues for life. So, not always best to remember it as the person who wore the thing that stood out the first day, or maybe it is the best. You never know, depending on what it is. So,
well, I'll go with the Slayer t-shirt then.
I would wear the Slayer t-shirt myself. So, but there's no rule. So feel free to wear the Slayer t-shirt. That's totally fine.
And a normal thing that we do, but I don't know if it's going to work out for orientation, is take pictures of every single student, just so we have them, so the teachers have them, so everyone knows what each other looks like. We may be asking you to send in your own headshot. We haven't come to a final agreement on that, but you will know if you're going to get, I hope that you will know if you're going to get your photo taken. But just an FYI, as someone who wasn't so perfectly dressed their first week of class.
It would just be a headshot, and it's really
right.
just we give the faculty a sheet of paper with everyone's pictures and name on it, and it's just so they can learn your name. It's not, we don't put this on the website or anything.
No. But again, we may be asking you to take a selfie.
I think we do put it on the website, but it's password protected. Not available.
That's a fair point. Yeah.
Oh, and the other thing, bring a mask. Either bring a mask or we will have one available to you before you come in the building. Either way.
Absolutely. Thank you for saying that. Yeah. Mask, the university has mandated masks, and I can tell you the faculty are definitely interested in having everyone wear masks, because not all the faculty are, some of them are older.
Can I ask a question?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I read that document that was distributed to the university, the planning guide. It stated the 4 levels of protection determined by the professor or instructor. How does that work? I mean, don't they share classrooms?
Yeah, that is a really good question. We're sort of wondering, how we're going to change out the various protective shields. I think at the end of the day, what will happen is we'll probably have the 3-sided shield in nearly all of the classrooms. Because, if you're comfortable with a single shield, then having a 3-sided one, what would be wrong with that? So, yeah, I filled out that survey myself. And for those of you, they asked all the faculty to express whether they wanted to teach in person, and if so, what level of protection. And there were 4 options, but I actually, when I got questions from the faculty, I just said, hey, go option 4, choose the one with the most protection, because you can always go down from there.
And it's not like a lot more expensive. You know, it's very
We don't-
minor.
Yeah, we don't believe so. Although I'm still not sure what the full-on mask is going to look like. But,
before we
all
go,
the faculty will have their own microphones. So, the faculty will be amplified throughout the classroom. So shouldn't have any trouble hearing the faculty. And we're still trying to figure out, how do we deal with the fact that the students will also be wearing face masks. We'll either ask for you to speak up or we'll have devices set throughout the classroom that will pick up your speech and will put it through the speakers.
Before we go, because we are coming up about 40 minutes, which is a good length for these programs. I know we have an event coming up next week, July 14th, which we haven't really publicized because we haven't gotten all the speakers ready. But my understanding is it's going to be a really exciting event. If you guys could talk about that.
Sure. And actually, there's one tonight. So you can get the link off the KU Law website. Our Women in Law organization organized a panel. Starts at 7 o'clock this evening. It's supposed to run for an hour and a half. It involves several faculty members speaking on racial justice and policing. So that takes place tonight at 7 o'clock. And then on July the 14th, we're trying to bring together, we've already gotten folks, about 5 state and local community leaders, the DA from down in Wichita, ACLU, a couple of other organizations. They're going to participate in a lunchtime program. I think it's at 12:30. Might be 1 o'clock on July the 14th, but we'll get out the confirmation. But we've asked the governor to participate. We believe that Quentin Lucas, the mayor of Kansas City, who is also a KU law professor, he will participate in that program. And one of our professors, Corey Young, who is an expert on criminal law and procedure, he will moderate the panel dealing with the question about police reforms in our immediate area, in the Kansas City and throughout Kansas. So we're still finalizing the group of speakers, but I would say there is a greater than 50% chance that we'll be able to get everybody together on the 14th of July over the lunch hour. So hopefully you'll be able to Zoom in and participate in that. Then we're also doing or setting up to do a 21-day diversity challenge where we have all the faculty and staff agree to do readings, some sort of activity for a 21-day period in order to try to just generate more awareness about these sorts of issues. So lots going on.
Well, great. Well, I definitely want to thank Dean Mazza and Brianna for joining us. And of course, thank all of you for joining us. I know we'll have more people view this once we post it. So thank you to you also. This is definitely not the end of the conversation. Myself and Bree are easy to reach. Dean Mazza is easy to reach. His email is on the website. He will.
Honestly, yeah, I think I've sent out my cell phone number a couple of times to you. Seriously, call me on my cell. It's no problem at all. So, yep.
He just finished. Too bad this wasn't last. He was just in 2 weeks of self-quarantine because he visited his home in Alabama. So you probably could have used that phone call last week, huh?
I was busy. Just because you're in quarantine doesn't mean people don't. Yeah. But I'm back in the office.
Dean Mazza will also be on another Dean Roundtable on August 4th. You have that on your calendar, right? Okay.
Sounds good to me.
All righty. Well, go ahead. I was going to say thank you, everyone. And we're going to sign off now, but we will continue having these conversations and look forward to hearing from you. Bye, everybody.
Thanks, everybody. All right. Bye-bye.